Well, compared to yesterday, it was a bit of an uneventful session in ES in the S&P 500 index. Coming into today and actually yesterday during the end of day recap, what I had talked about was the potential for some volatility contraction, the potential for a slower session. That's pretty much exactly what we saw today. Price did give that full 1 ATR move if you do include the pre-market action. However, overall, it was a pretty muted session compared to what we've seen in recent days. Now, the main play that I was watching today was actually longs shortly off of the regular trading hours open. We had mentioned in the pre-market prep live stream that the main volume point of control, if I take a look at this 15-minute chart, for the overnight action was right here through the 47.75 area. So that was a decent reference point with VWAP aligning right there. We also had the level of interest that you can see there from the notes. And so we got a couple of decent long opportunities right off of the open, right through here with VWAP confluence as well. Following those opportunities really was a much slower session, not a lot of action through here that I really see as tradable. And then later into the afternoon, you do finally have that washout. So price gave another attempt at a session high here at retesting those session highs. Couldn't break higher. So at that point, sellers are going to step in, or at the very least, profit takers are going to step in and really start to unload. So we get that test of the prior day high, no real interest versus the prior day high, and then it just rolls over into the 47.50 level of interest. This was a big level from yesterday's action. If you actually take a look at the 5-minute from yesterday, we had some good action versus that 47.50, and that is the prior day value area high. So it's always a decent reference point to keep an eye on. Now, at the time when price was pressing the lows, we did have a nice shooting star candle showing more exhaustion, stronger exhaustion, potentially even some sign of sellers beginning to step in. But following that, I mean, look at the bounce here. We're back right into the prior range. We're back into the 47.75 area. Now, just a moment ago, session volume point of control was up here at 47.80. It has just moved lower within the past few minutes into the 47.67. So something to keep an eye on for tomorrow. What I'll primarily be looking at tomorrow is essentially how price trades versus today's range. Now, I continue to maintain that this is a bull's tape. I've said that a few hundred times now, and so personally, I'll exclusively be focusing on long trades, essentially until, just so I don't have to continue to repeat myself, essentially that's going to be my focus until we see a daily sell bar that tells me, all right, there are some other sellers here. Now, as always, does not mean that you can't short. It doesn't mean that there's not money to be made on the short side. It's just per my system, I have to continue to focus on upside trades until we actually see some change in character on the structure or some real sellers hitting the tape. And we're just not seeing that yet. So the reason I do this is because it helps me fight that kind of overbought type of mentality that you're seeing online quite frequently right now. A lot of people are talking about overbought, it can't go higher, this, that, and the other, recession, economy, all the reasons in the world as to why the market cannot go higher, and price just does not care. Price just continues to push higher. And so ultimately, price is the ultimate arbiter when it comes to our trading decisions. When it comes to our P&L, it's not our opinions about the market or anything like that. So kind of an aside there. As far as what I'll actually be looking for in price action, again, it's just how price is trading versus today's range. So we have 47.50 right through here. And then today's high is 47.91. I'll pretty much just be treating that like a 4,800 zone. So we have a 50-point range to be working with. Now, the ultimate objective of bulls, of buyers right now, is to continue to hold the July high, right? We want to see this prior resistance now holding as support. And so what we may start to see after this volatility expansion move, after this trend move here, is some sideways consolidation, right? Bit of a range before price decides, all right, is it next leg higher? We're going to actually start to pull back from there. I have no idea. As always, no crystal ball here, no fortune telling, just working with what price shows me and the patterns that develop. What I do know is that after a big volatility expansion move, you're generally going to have that contraction. And so we want to keep our expectations in line as far as the next few sessions. I continue to expect some consolidation, some quieter sessions, especially as we get into Christmas holiday, which is not next week, but the following week. So volumes will really start to taper off late next week. Then the following Monday is Christmas. That's also going to be a low volume week. So the next 2 weeks are probably going to be much slower, kind of like what we saw around Thanksgiving, right? So keep an eye on those volume levels. As far as today's action, well, most of the week on ES here, we have had high volume simply because of the contract rollover. Let's double check that, as always, with SPY to kind of verify. And yeah, past 2 sessions, pretty good volume, right? So similar type of thinking here, just looking for that breather. Price can either correct through price, which will be an actual pullback, or through time, which is consolidation. That's kind of what we had there in late November, mid to late November, that prior range we were trading within. So that's the index as far as S&P is concerned. Main watch into tomorrow is how price trades versus today's range. Let's take a look at the tech-heavy NASDAQ. NASDAQ NQ did actually give some better action today as far as the intraday chart. Now, if you compare this side by side with the ES chart, you'll see that there was major divergence here in NQ versus ES. And the difference here is that NQ did not really trade above VWAP at all for the duration of the session, with the exception of, in the first half hour there. Following that, you don't have any moves above VWAP. You have a great 2-hour trader short entry right through here. That was phenomenal. Showed great follow through. But again, compare this NQ to ES. Look at the difference, right? So ES trading up and through VWAP multiple times throughout the day. NQ just not showing that. And I bring this up because NQ has been leading the market as of late, and so you can kind of get some clues from NQ that can either add or take away conviction from whatever you may be thinking in ES. So I always have some eyes on NQ, even when trading ES, just to kind of assist. Like I said, it can help you add some conviction or take away. So as far as the setup in NQ, it's very similar. Again, it has been leading. So this actually broke the July high back a couple of days ago. Now very similarly showing a bit of that exhaustion move, almost the shape of a doji here. Just some indecision, not unusual after 5 sessions higher, right? You start to see 5 to 6 sessions higher consecutively. It's time to start thinking about a breather. It's time to start thinking about a pullback. Again, another thing that I had mentioned this morning during the pre-market prep live stream. So levels you can watch on NQ tomorrow. The 16,600 has been a good level to work with for the duration of this week. That is the weekly volume point of control right through there, that blue line that you can see on my chart. The 16,600 also happens to be essentially today's session low, including the overnight. So that's a good reference point. And then up into the 16,900, pretty much today's high. So tomorrow, main watch and NQ as well is just going to be today's range. And we'll take it from there as far as the index is concerned. Looking at individual names, the scans were actually quite dry. Nothing that really popped out to me in the scans. I did have AI. Take a look at this. So great volume today. Be looking at a potential second day tomorrow with a break of structure up through 32. that looks like it could be a solid opportunity for individual names. So AI will be on watch. And then we also had Carvana. This was a big squeeze name today. Take a look at that candle on massive volume as well. Yeah, look at this volume. Very strong, more than 200% today. And so just treating this one like a second day play essentially in the Carvana. Let's take a look at today's structure. So yeah, we can work with 50 or 51 tomorrow, depending on if there's any overnight gap in Carvana. So that'll be on watch as well. That was all that I had for the individual names, AI and CVNA. And then of course the index trade has been kind of the main focus, catching a bit of a bid here into the close. Some clues that this is just continued accumulation again. No real signs of distribution just yet as far as what we're seeing in the volume profiles. So we'll see how tomorrow shakes out, see how that overnight auction is looking, if we have a gap or if we're just going to open within today's range. Hope everyone had a great day. A couple of decent opportunities today. Again, shortly off of the open, we had a couple of close to 10-point moves there with great location. And so if you did not catch those, I did post a chart in the chat of my executions. You could go and take a look. Those are trades I would consider A+ trades, worth studying. That is a repeatable setup that has real edge. So hope everyone had a great day. I will see you tomorrow morning for the pre-market prep live stream. Take care.